So I wanted to talk about what I did yesterday. I went to the Kingdom Hall that my parents attend, and they didn't happen to be there. I just want to say I watched the video of the protest that Laura and Anand Dude 2 and Dustin and Jada made, and that was really good to hear, and great to hear that you guys didn't back down until the police came. I heard that there was another protest going on at the same time, which was really cool, at the same assembly you went to. So that's good to hear. When I went, I attended the meeting. There was actually an assembly going on that day, but I wanted to go to my parents' hall because it's my goal now to occupy their hall, go every Sunday, and never leave. My point being is that basically those men have no authority to tell you to leave in a spiritual sense. According to the scriptures, Jesus' own words, Matthew 23, I can't remember where it's at right now. I wasn't here to Bible thump, but you know it if you've read the Bible, and you should know it if you're a witness, especially an elder, where Jesus said, "Let no one be called your leader, because one is your leader, the Christ, whereas all you are brothers." And that was said to no less than the apostles, anointed ones. They were brothers. And all the anointed ones at that time were brothers. They had no leader. Even the apostles weren't the leader. And if they ever called themselves leaders, then they too broke what Jesus had said to do there. So, Jesus is the leader. The elders are our brothers. The governing body are our brothers. And if Jesus wants me to be there, and that is my belief that he does, then they can't make me leave. So with that prerequisite, I went there, and I sat through just the Watchtower meeting. I didn't know exactly what time it started. I kind of thought it started at 12:30, but I showed up late. Just some things got in the way. But it does start at 12:30 anyway. Sat through the Watchtower meeting and sung the prayer. The witness beside me let me use his songbook, and when it was over, I went and I talked to a couple of people I knew, and I didn't push myself on ones who didn't want to talk longer. I was like, well, I just wanted to say hey, and I was friendly, and they said hey. And I went to an elder that I know, I know them all well because I went to this congregation for years. And he told me the meeting times and asked if I'd keep coming back. I said yes. But what happened, you see, is I guess the elders started noticing that I wasn't leaving immediately when it was over. In particular, one elder that I don't know. He knew me. I went to look at the information board for a while to see when the meetings were, and to see if it was indeed the meeting that my parents went to. And it was. But an elder came and talked to me. But before I tell you about what that elder, I also had a sister come up that knew me from when I was a witness, because I used to go in field service at her congregation in Conyers. And this was a Covington Kingdom Hall. It's actually technically called the Mansfield Congregation, but it's in Covington. And she remembered me. I didn't remember her, because I'd probably only seen her once or twice. And we talked for a while, and then a sister that was from the congregation that I used to go to said, "I think he's disfellowshipped, I believe." Took her aside, and then they came and asked, "Are you disfellowshipped?" And I said no, because disfellowshipped to me is a derogatory term. Don't call me disfellowshipped. That's it's a bad word to me. I was disfellowshipped at one point in time, but I am not disfellowshipped. And I was reinstated by no less than Jesus Christ and Jehovah. The prodigal son returned to the father, not to the elders, not to his brother. His brother didn't want him to come back, and that's just the way these elders act. They don't want you to come back. Why are you treating him so good? But the father threw a feast for the prodigal son. Anyway, talked to them a while, and then I went to fellowship, so they kept talking. Oh, okay, well, it's all good. But eventually, as I was at the board, I'd stopped talking to them. This elder came, and he said, "Clint, what do you want?" Real rude. I said, "I was just looking at the information board to see when the other meetings are." And he's like, "Well, why are you doing that?" And I said, "Well, what's your name?" I said, "You know my name." And he said, You don't want to know my name. You don't care about me." And I was just kind of like, okay. So it was ironic that the Watchtower that day was about pursuing peace and being a peacemaker and making peace with your brothers. It was all about how some brothers hold grudges against one another and they don't truly forgive one another, but that we should seek peace so we have peace in the congregation. So as I thought about that, I said, well, I better go follow him and try to make peace with him. And he was talking to the other elder that told me the meeting times. That was nice. And I said, "You just said that I don't care about you." And I said, the Watchtower today was about making peace with your brothers. And I want to know why you think I don't care about you. Well, what makes you say that? And he said, "Clint, what did he say exactly?" He said, "You don't care about any of these brothers and sisters here. You just want to harm them spiritually." And I said, what makes you say that? I said, I haven't done anything to harm them spiritually. And he said, well, I know, he said, I came to the hospital when you were in the hospital. And your parents came to the hospital and they took care of you when you got out of the hospital and they were so good to you and whatever. And then you just treated them terrible and did all this stuff to them. The terrible stuff that I did was when I left their house eventually, when I got better, moved back in with my wife, they stopped talking to me. They started shunning me and treating me like they used to, and I tried to make peace with them. And you know how that goes. So that was my big crime, that I wouldn't put up with being shunned and being treated as less than a human. And anyway, so I said, so what did I do? And he said, you know what you did. But he couldn't tell me what I did. And this was all in front of this other elder. I said, so I asked the other elder, what is he talking about? Do you think that I treated my parents wrongly? And I said, I just tried to pursue peace with them. Because that's honestly what I tried to do. I didn't go hollering at them or anything. I was very respectful even of their beliefs when I talked to them, even my parents. So he then, fired up probably by this recent stuff they've been saying in the Watchtower about slaughtering apostates, he calls me a dog and says point blank that I'm an apostate. And just starts saying really evil stuff about me. And I said, oh, I'm an apostate, huh? I said, well, what makes you say that? And what's funny is if you ask them what makes them say that, they never have anything intelligent to say. Usually they don't have anything to say. Like he said, you know what you did. Yeah. I said I pursued peace with them. So that's what I did. I didn't do anything wrong. And so he keeps talking. And he said, you're not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. Well, see, I brought the Organized to Accomplish Jehovah's Will book, which says that if anybody joins a secular organization that's in opposition to Jehovah, then they've disassociated themselves and are no longer Jehovah's Witnesses. So he said, you're no longer a Jehovah's Witness. And I said, I certainly am a Jehovah's Witness. And he said, and they were both like, no, you're not. And then we went into the whole reinstatement thing, and how, you know, what I just said, you return to the Father returns to you. They're the ones who reinstate, that whole deal. We're all brothers. They don't have anything to say. They said, well, we just can't talk about that, you know, and they just kind of scoffed at it. And I was like, I know. I said, you follow what the Watchtower says over what the Bible says. So what was my point? Totally forgot what I was even talking about. Oh yes. So, so you're not Jehovah's Witnesses. I said, but if you want to get technical, even the governing body aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, because they joined the United Nations. Once again, they scoffed at that. But that's the point. The governing body are not Jehovah's Witnesses. They're not Jehovah's Witnesses. Did y'all get that? The Watchtower is not part of Jehovah's organization anymore either, because they joined the United Nations, and many of the officials knew about it. None of them are Jehovah's Witnesses. They all disassociated themselves. So, spiritually speaking, we have every right to be there. If they want to say we can't be there, then we can say you should not be talking and listening to the apostate Watchtower that has been disassociated itself. Technically, they should not be reading the Watchtower and Awake magazines at all, or listening to anything the governing body says, because they should be shunned according to their own rules. But see, that's the point, is that the real rule is that nobody should be shunned to begin with. But if you want to get technical, even the governing body is disfellowshipped, as they call us, disfellowshipped. They disfellowshipped themselves. Anyway, so they kept telling me to leave at that point, and I said, well, Jesus wants me to be here, Jehovah wants me to be here, so you know, it doesn't really matter what you tell me, so I'm going to stay here. About that time, another brother walks up and says, hey, and I tell him who I am right in front of that elder, and this was the more peaceable elder. The other elder had left, and he was mad, and I just talked to him, went about my business. I stayed a good 20 minutes after the Watchtower meeting was over, and I went outside, and a young guy talked to me. He looked about 16 or 17. He said, I like your beard, and we talked about beards, how he can't grow one, and this elder was watching it and pissed and kept stopping and looking at us, and I just kept talking to the young guy. Yeah, he's obviously miserable. He wants to grow a beard, and they're not going to want him to grow a beard one day. So then I shook hands with him. I was like, it was good meeting you. What was your name again? Blah, 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 as the elder's watching me. When I turned around, I said, hey, brother so-and-so. I didn't even give him time to say anything to me. And he's like, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm leaving. And I walked to my car. I said, I feel you. I'm leaving. I got to get out of here too. Got in the car and left. And I'll be back next Sunday. But with a camera. I forgot my camera. I'm kind of glad I did, because now, you know, if he acted this bad, calling me a dog and an apostate and all that, there's no telling how he's going to act the next time I come, and he's going to be on camera the next time. And I'm going to enjoy that. I don't enjoy taking a video of those who are peaceable. But if somebody's going to act like a fool and try to kick me out, I have no problem. Anyway, that's how things went, and I plan on doing it next Sunday.